Hello, hello, hello. I am here on a Monday, not a Friday. Wanted to join you on a separate day today. I couldn't, I was traveling on Friday. And so I just couldn't do it on Friday, but I'm here on Monday. And today I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about um, just adding some creativity into your life and how important that is. And then I'm going to give you some ideas and some little tips and tricks about some things you can do to make sure you add some creativity into your life if it's something that you want, and how you can kind of schedule that in to make sure that you can commit to it. So I thought I'd just start off by telling you a little bit about my past. Not everybody knows where I've come from, but I had a corporate career for many, many years, 15 years in the e-learning business. And prior to that, I was in the web development business. So I was doing a corporate career for quite some time. And I had international clients, business partner. We worked really, really hard. We had a great time. I must say, I love my company, but it was slogging hard work, and I rarely had a break. I went to an office, and hello, Gabby. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, I had it was a tough slog. We had a lot of corporate clients around the world, some here in BC, but some all around the world. And we had timelines, really tight timelines. We had a very small staff, so we did a lot of work ourselves. And I was working around the clock. And I have to say, I loved it, as I said. And in fact, I did a lot of the creative work in the company. So I felt like I was living a life of creativity. But the timelines and the stress around that really built up over the years. And I remember one time I was building a prop for one of the presentations that we were doing. I had to build something, and I got to work in my workshop. And I remember saying to my business partner, I get to go to my happy place. I'm so happy. I get to go to work with my hands. And I just remember that feeling of working with my hands. I hadn't done it for so long. I'd been just working away at the computer, and it amazed me what a difference. I got into the workshop on the weekend, took some time out. I had fun. I didn't cut off any fingers, and I just remember that feeling of creativity and thinking, wow, am I ever missing this in my life? And then I went back to the slogging away, and it was several years later when I finally stepped away from the corporate world. And when I did, I was burnt out. I had hit the wall, and I really just stepped back from a lot of things. I moved to an area. I live in Vancouver, BC, and people, I mean, this is a big city, but I moved to an area that's right on the Fraser River. And honestly, I don't even feel like I live in Vancouver. So I kind of moved to this place that was very much like the country, away from the world. And then I got a dog, and oh my God, did that ever change my life? And, the story, of course, is that I made the first dog coat for my dog, and I started making things with my hands again as I kind of came out of this burnout that I was in. And I started making things with my hands. And it just kind of brought me back out into this life of enjoyment and happiness again. And slowly but surely, that business, that world of making dog coats turned into a business. Neighbors started asking for the coats, and I turned it into a business. And Gabby says, your career still sounds very exciting and more to come. Yeah. I mean, as I said, it went from this just building something with my hands and really needing that creative touch with things again. And I built it into a business. And now I have the absolute pleasure of having a company that's both creative and business. And that balance in my life came back. So I just wanted to share that story with you. And I'm not suggesting that you give up your corporate career or change your whole world and start sewing dog coats. No, although there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm just suggesting, why not book some time, plan some time for the new year, maybe over Christmas. Christmas is a hectic time. Plan some time for the new year to do something creative. Make this your new plan for the new year, and just add some creativity into your life, because it makes such a difference. And I really honestly feel that day when I went into the workshop and I got to work with my hands, if I had only listened to that message in my head, how important that creativity was to me and how it balanced things just for that short little weekend, how much of a difference that could have made in my life if I had said, oh, this is so important, I got to bring this in on a daily or a weekly basis, or maybe even a monthly basis, whatever it is. If I had scheduled that into my life, I think it would have just made such a world of difference. And so that's what I'm suggesting to you today. And now, to that end, I actually have a couple of things coming up that I would love to have you join me in. I have a free webinar that's starting up in early December. It's on December 6th, Monday, December 6th. We're going to start a free webinar, and I'm going to teach you how to measure your dog, because I've been talking about this for a while, how to measure your dog and how to take those measurements and then put them onto a pattern and customize that pattern. Well, I'm going to walk you through this step by step, take you through that process of measuring your dog and mapping that onto a pattern. And then customizing that pattern so that it actually fits your dog perfectly. So this is a free webinar. I'm going to teach you how to do this. And this is an awesome way for you to commit some time to having some creativity in your life. So there will be a schedule. We're going to be doing something every day for one full week for the webinar. So I'll put a schedule up about how that's going to happen. But this gives you this opportunity to schedule some creativity into your life. And as I said earlier, I just can't tell you what a difference it means. We're going into this incredibly busy time right now. I mean, holiday season tends to be extremely busy. And then also just our whole lives are they're off balance right now. We're living through this COVID time that we keep thinking it's going to get better, and then we get worse. And, we're all living in a little bit more seclusion than we ever did before. We don't have that same connection with people. And so this is a great opportunity for you to just step back from all that mayhem and the holiday season and all the kind of craziness around COVID. Step into this world of creativity and do something for yourself. And it'll bring that balance into your life. And honestly, that even if you don't even think you're all that creative, adding in that time, just giving that time to yourself makes such a difference. So I got some ideas on how to just schedule some of this into your life. Just a few simple things that you can incorporate to try to plan this into your life and add some creativity. Number one, schedule. Get your calendar out and just write down some blocks of time. Now, again, I'm going to do a free webinar in early December. So this is a perfect time for you to set those blocks of time aside. Now, if the blocks that I'm going live and doing things on camera don't work for you, that's okay. You can still block those times in, because there'll be an hour-long slot. Slot them in later on in the day. Slot them all in. If you want to just cram it into a day, you could add a few days and watch all the replays in the same day. But scheduling that time into your calendar is going to make a big, big difference, because that writing it down, just that act of writing it down, commits you to it, and it makes such a big difference. The other thing that's really a great idea is journaling. Now, journaling can work on its own, has nothing to do with this idea of adding the creativity into your life necessarily. But when you start journaling, you start kind of thinking about just what's important. You get a little bit more in tap with what's going on in your head and what's important in your life. And that kind of opens you up to having some more creativity and you kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Well, you become a little bit more in tune with yourself, and then you kind of create that space for yourself as well. And then the journal is also a great place. I use my journal for writing, but I also use my journal for sketching. My journal is a little bit of it's one of those exploratory places. So I do a lot of sketching in there too. So hey, while you're working through this free webinar with me, or even up to the point where we do the webinar, start journaling and start doing some sketches about dogs and dog coats and things that you might want to make. The next one is to set a goal. Set a goal for yourself before the end of this year is out. Set a goal for yourself, and then make that plan to have that goal work. Set a goal, but if that goal doesn't work in that sense, that don't be too hard on yourself that you have to just hit that goal on the head and say, hey, that one's done. Not necessarily the case, but if you set a goal for yourself, write that goal down, because it has been proven time and again, when you write down a goal or a vision, if the goal isn't the right word for you, a vision for yourself, write that down. And it's amazing how much just simply the fact of writing that down makes such a difference in the commitment to that goal. The other thing is excellent idea, if you're going to do something creative, is to get a buddy to join you in and do this with them. That's that kind of accountability thing. It's amazing. I don't know if you've ever, set a plan to go to the gym, and you say, hey, dear friend, do you want to go to the gym with me? Having that person say, okay, let's go to the gym today, helps you on those days when you're like, oh man, I don't want to go to the gym, I'm too tired. That person helps you, and then you come out of the gym and you think, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't want to go today because I feel so much better. It's the same thing with this creativity life. If you set a goal with a buddy and you say, hey, let's join this. So for example, join the webinar. Join in on this webinar, get a buddy to join with you. And if you both do this webinar together, you can work through any of the problems that you might have, but you're also just kind of committing to each other and committing to yourself that you're going to show up for that. Now, this whole webinar that I'm going to be doing is going to be leading into the Dog Coat Challenge. Now, I did this last year as well. So this is the second annual Dog Coat Challenge, and we're going to be running this in January. So January 3rd, that's a Monday. I love to start things on Monday for some reason. January 3rd is the first day, and we will be doing a Dog Coat Challenge. Now, this challenge is the Cozy Coat. I have talked about it before. It is a wonderful coat, and what I'll be doing is working through this for a full month. I'm going to be working with you to make this coat and helping you to make the cozy coat. And again, this is an excellent opportunity to join in with another buddy. Get your buddy to sign up with you onto this Dog Coat Challenge on January 3rd. And then you guys can help each other to commit to that goal, and just make sure that you're kind of helping each other along and showing off what you've done. And the other thing about this whole accountability is when you join in with this Dog Coat Challenge, there's going to be a whole host of other creative people that are just like you, and they're your accountabilities too. And they're going to be looking for pictures of what you're sewing, and maybe pictures of some challenges that you might be having. Show us the dog that you're going to be making the dog coat for, all sorts of things like that. Just setting up, getting your studio prepared, all those things. This is the place when you get a whole bunch of people together, you get that great sense of accountability, you get that camaraderie, you get that just that group sharing experience, and it really does help to create that space and to be more creative. So that's all I really want to talk about today. I just wanted to share that importance, how important it was for me to add that creativity into my life, and how having that as my new world now that I am very creative on a daily basis has completely changed my life. It's just turned things around for me. And I really would love to have that for you too. So if you can carve out a little bit of time for yourself to do some creative things, I think it'll make such a big difference. It's a great goal to set for yourself for January, to create a dog coat would be excellent, the Dog Coat Challenge. But even if the Dog Coat Challenge doesn't work for you, just carve out some time to do some creative things for yourself. So I'll give you some more information over the coming weeks on the Dog Coat Challenge and the free webinar. But what I'd love you to do in the meantime is to just pull out that calendar and set up some times that are going to work for you to create some to make some time for creativity in your life. And just looking here, Gabby says, your new world sounds so wonderful. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. I recommend it to everybody to some degree. You can add that creativity into your life. And as I said earlier, even if you don't think of yourself as creative, adding, like, I believe that anyone can sew, and anyone can draw. Like, I think we have a lot of standards as to what is professional or what is an artist or who's a creative person. And I don't think that's true. I think that everybody has that creativity inside them, and it just needs a little nurturing sometimes to come out and to be something that we actually fulfill every day in our lives. But the more creativity you can add to your life, the more I feel that you become balanced. And that certainly has made a big, big difference to me. And there's also this sense, one thing I didn't mention, but there's this sense of accomplishment. I mean, if you take on, I remember my first dog coat, and I was so proud. There was a lot of mistakes on that dog coat. I think I had to add a skirt to it because it was far too short. It didn't reach down to the end of Scout's back, and I had a hood on it, which was great until actually it wasn't the first play, but a few times into it, Scout was playing with the dog, and the hood just got ripped off by the other dog one day. I had to, let that hood go. It wasn't that big a deal. That first coat was such a feeling of pride for me, having finished that and learned just from scratch how to make something. I measured my dog, and I learned from those mistakes on that first coat on how to measure her properly. But just to get that feeling of accomplishment when you actually make something, and make something with your own two hands, what a difference it makes. So again, keep tuned. I'm going to be sharing with you all the details on the upcoming free webinar starting on Monday, December 6th, and on the Dog Coat Challenge, where we're going to be making the cozy coat together. And that's going to start on January 3rd. So it's a great, great project to start your year off. All right, signing off. And thank you very much for joining me. We'll talk to you very soon. And I'll be back this Friday, as always, Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.